Campaign Zero. It's kind of funny, I guess. Trying to associate a organization to certain quote unquote activists, but Campaign Zero, COINTELPRO, Deray McKesson, Brittany Packnett, I believe is her name, Sam Sway. Um, you know, they're connected to other organizations, so that's why I said at the beginning it's kind of hard to associate a particular organization because they claim so many. Um, but anyways, their COINTELPRO acts and issues and their use of the movement, I believe they use "This is the movement." That's kind of what I'm talking about. This is the movement.org. I don't know if it's email address or organization or what's going on. Um, they just kind of showed up in Ferguson. D-Ray, I don't remember Brittany Packnett. I'm not a protester. That's not what we did. We're media. Um, we began prior to Ferguson, so we were actively recording prior to Ferguson, and some of what we were about and what we were trying to do. That's just fact. We were up and running 4 months before Ferguson, and that's kind of how we got into the mix as far as covering everything. We kind of used, I guess, our momentum to try to help out, how we could in the area of media as far as recording what was going on. And it's like now that, everything has transpired, it's like so much has been erased. That's just, it's just out there, like if you really research it, you can find it. But it's like the fact that the way that media is set up and that there's not a strong enough media presence to get this information out there, like the general public is just misinformed. And there's a completely false narrative that was created for the whole Black Lives Matter saga. And, we'll cover that, pretty extensively. But Campaign Zero, I guess Deray McKesson, I don't know if they were called, I think they were We the Protesters or something. It was him and Netta at the beginning. I don't remember Brittany Packnett at all digitally. So um, D-Ray's claim was he was going to announce via text the verdict of the, I guess, Darren Wilson case in the Mike Brown situation. And basically, that was his claim. From there on, he just, kind of randomly tweeted. I remember certain people, I won't even, mention names or anything, making comments kind of like, who is this guy, blah, blah, blah. But long story short, he was definitely not a leader. He tweeted. There's a lot of different people that tweeted. But at the same time, when it comes to the movement, there was just like, there was so much other stuff, and you never know, like, early on, like, are people showing solidarity? Do they know what's going on? Whatever. But it's like the creative energy that started all of this. Like he wasn't even a part of first off. So I mean, you have organizations like student unions, like all these different people doing all this great work. And that's erased like from the beginning. Because he basically said like people just came outside in Ferguson. And that's a lie, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole reasoning behind that, and it's like there's a whole reasoning behind the movement, which you've also claimed, and it's like you don't know the history of either one, and it's like your own city doesn't, claim you. You disclaim Black Lives Matter as soon as you were asked about funding. Um, I can just go on and on and on and on, with the lies and the deception and, how you throwing people under the bus, when, I guess when they no longer had a use, even certain issues. But regardless, um, they're just a fraud organization. They were never part of the movement. They were made aware of that, early on via social media where they claim, to get their start. And they also didn't disclose like certain affiliations early on. For example, like their affiliation with Twitter. D-Ray is, one of the activists that, I guess kind of push people to, like I guess use Twitter for, I guess a lot of the content. And it was useful because of the hashtags. Like not taking anything away from the service in that aspect. but like that's a major conflict in certain situations, and certain hashtags, like even the movement, were manipulated by the platform. I'm assuming that no user can do certain things to the platform. So um, it's like you're manipulating the playing field, like the Donna Brazil situation, with the election, which isn't even as bad, like giving somebody the questions early isn't, like that's a lot better than not even allowing a person to speak, or like cutting that person's mic off so nobody can hear them, like that's the type of bullshit that D-Ray is on, that's like the level of petty. So I mean, like, first off, just to have an organization and you're doing these types of things, and you're claiming to care about people, and wanting to represent people. Um, there's not people like that in our community that are successful that I know of, and I'm sure it's because of that reason. I know a lot of other communities I would assume are the same outside of probably the political spectrum, but it's like like you just don't do that. You don't scam people. You don't mislead people. Um, the entire claim of being leaders in Ferguson or leading protest in Ferguson is false. From the people who were actually doing those things, and those videos, those articles, and all that information is available. A lot of it, as far as D-Ray comes to mention, just because he arrived in Ferguson, you never heard him mention the movement prior to Ferguson. But anyways, he just popped up in Ferguson, and it's like their information is out there. You can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Twitter, you can find it like multiple places. Hands Up Don't Shoot is a great resource, and they have a great um, writer, and like many other things as far as like leaders in the movement. A lot of them do a lot of different things, but just I guess as far as how some people really got their claim to fame, it wasn't just because like, oh, I was in the right place at the right time. Like certain people had certain gifts and like certain talents, and they used those to the benefit of everybody else, and it was kind of understood, and that's kind of how leadership kind of evolved. From that aspect, because that's when things to me really kind of took off, like on I won't say on a national level because they were more like national and international before, but like I guess maybe in America, and like the public was aware of it, not just like a certain demographic that was aware before. But anyways, just sticking to them, it's like it's a false claim to be part of the movement. You weren't part of the movement. You don't support some of the issues that were basic to the movement. You supported a different ideology, supported a conflicting movement that turned out to be a fraud movement. Um, you claim to be like grassroots and this and that, and not be sponsored and all this, and Twitter's essentially sponsoring you. You're receiving something for certain things that you're doing, like, and that's all the way basic to like if it was T-shirts or pencils or whatever, like whatever you're receiving, like it could be flights, flight points, whatever you're receiving for, doing what you're doing, like you're getting paid to do it. And the DNC backing, what was exposed in the WikiLeaks, you're sponsored. You're sponsored by the party, and you're claiming to lead like a completely separate like revolutionary type thing, and you are like you're a Democrat, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Democrats have done a lot of great things recently, but at the same time, like you're being disingenuous. And then it's like when you go back to some of your corporate backing, and I guess how you position yourself to try to I guess maneuver to I guess elude the public that you are the leader of the movement because Black Lives Matter doesn't exist anymore on a national level. Then you're being disingenuous, and you showed up just in Ferguson, and Ferguson essentially pretty much ran you out of there. So I mean, the whole organization and how they like have basically just tried to make a name in media, as far as just getting certain publications to write about them, or cover them. Um, it just kind of makes them fries. It's not about being Hollywood. It's not about how many articles are written about you, or how many clicks, or this or that. It's like what's your purpose essentially. Because that's what's defined the leadership to this point. And then outside of that, it's like what are you about? What do you offer? And who are you? And um, it's like from the beginning of and we supported LGBT rights, but it's like you have this whole I guess romance thing with Netta, and I don't want to get into details, but like it's irrelevant to the Mike Brown case. You're distracting from the case. Like if you're doing it for the opportunity to run for mayor, or if you're doing it for the opportunity to be in front of the cameras, like you're doing it at the expense of everybody who's sacrificing their safety, and some sacrifice their lives for attention. And that's a major issue as well. Like outside of being a COINTELPRO agent, by being a DNC plant, and then also like having some of the corporate affiliations, um, just being disingenuous in general as far as how you came about, your positioning, who you were affiliated with, and your intentions. And this is something where our youth are latching onto our actions and our words, and what's going on, and you're misleading them, and kind of giving them a false lifestyle, just because you're not living. D-Ray's not living a false life, or a real lifestyle. He's living on donation money. So you know they're a fraud organization, COINTELPRO, as far as Deray McKesson. I can't make the same claim about the others. I'm not sure if Sam Sway was even aware of everything that was going on initially. I don't know what was said in certain circles, but certain things unfolded, and we knew what was going on, and people inside those groups didn't know what was going on. So we saw their reactions, knowing what was going on, and knowing I guess having a perspective, and they were I guess still trying to figure certain things out at different points in time. Again, this was a 2-year process. But Campaign Zero, yeah, it's a fake organization. Um, we're never part of the movement. Basically showed up in Ferguson after Ferguson organized and mobilized. And then they were never working with the leadership there. They weren't working with Hands Up, Don't Shoot, or the people of Ferguson. And, they were the people working closest with the family. So, in my eyes, like being somebody who, has dealt with, certain tragedies, you always help the people who are directly going through whatever the tragedy is. You support that family, those friends that are helping out, the people that are directly, helping the family. So outside of that, the affiliations with Black Lives Matter, a lot of the actions that were made, the politics since then, like everything is just BS. Um, it's not true. D-Ray was never a leader in Ferguson. He's never been a part of the movement. We don't know who this Brittany Packnett girl is. And yeah, that's about it from a founder of the movement, the real one, not like I guess what they've tried to affiliate with, and um, yeah, that's it.